I can't point this out enough. People, you cannot communicate with dead people. There is zero evidence of this. Come on now. Come on now. Somebody just brought this up to my attention when I'm in a genealogy group, and I live in Salinas, California. And they gave me this article. I don't know if I can link to it, but you can stop if you really want to read it and just pause the video. But it is in the Salinas Californian, which is USA Today, apparently. And it is from March 26, 2025. And today is March 27th, 2025. Using crowdfunding, scientists were able to put together a DNA profile that led to the woman's relatives. So the headline is California Jane Doe ID'd by DNA nearly 60 years later. 60 years later. It took 60 years for somebody to ID this woman who was found. And where have been all the psychics all this time? So they had to go and they crowdsourced it and they got the money and they went and they used this modern DNA method to ID this woman to get her name and where she was from. So 58 years ago, the body was found on a California cliff. They finally know who she is. Gee, if only they could have asked a psychic what her name was and where she was from. But no. Come on now. So in 1966, they found the body of an unidentified woman on a cliff near Paradise Drive in Tiburon, California, which is about 15 miles north of San Francisco. All right. So she has been identified as Dorothy Jean Williams with a married name of Dorothy Jean Valancourt, according to the people who did the research. Her cause of death could not be determined. She was originally from Tasmania, Australia. So nobody, I guess, knew. I don't know what the case was, why she was here. Okay. According to the initial investigation, authorities discovered that 3 months before the body was found, a woman matching the Jane Doe's description asked the local fire department if she could spend the night at the station because she was stranded and had no money for a taxi. When firefighters refused, she walked away. That's really sad. My gosh, you guys. Well, I know it was 1966. Maybe it was a different world then, but a woman comes to a fire station and says, I'm stranded. I could really use some help. And they said, sorry. Oh my gosh. Goodness gracious. Let's hope that isn't happening now. I mean, that's sad. That is so sad. Isn't there an agency you could call? Or, well, I don't know. 1966. I hope they feel some guilt over this. So they know what she was wearing, a red cotton dress, off-white trench coat, and she had red hair, 5'2", weighed 105 pounds. Her body was badly decomposed. So she did not have any identification on her when she was discovered. How sad. The body had laid in the underbrush for several months, about 20 feet below the drive. So I guess she fell. They buried her as a Jane Doe, and for several years, they tried to identify her, and details were entered into the National Missing and Unidentified Persons System, which is called NamUs, M-A-M-U-S, and she was given an identifier number. How really sad, you know. Over the years, attempts were made to identify the women to no avail. So in 2022, they submitted evidence from the case to a lab in Texas. And this is the forensic DNA, where you have to come up with money and you have to try to identify them. Her case is the 56th to be identified in California by the technology developed. So only 56 people in California. Think about how big California is, how many different people are missing here. 56. And where are the psychics trying to just communicate with them? I mean, it wouldn't be really hard, would it? I mean, if you could really communicate with the dead, all you would have had to do is whatever they do, which of course they don't do, but talk to this dead person that, I don't know, maybe they could let her hold her jacket or something, a white off-white trench coat, red cotton dress. So maybe they could have held it or something, and they could have said, she's from far away, Tasmania, Australia. And her name was Michelle. No, I'm sorry, Dorothy Jean. Even that would have been a help. They could have contacted authorities in Tasmania and said, hey, do you have any missing women about this age, about this weight, about this height with red hair that could be over in California? Right? I mean, they could have contacted and probably Tasmanian authorities. I've been to Tasmania. It's absolutely beautiful, but it's not huge population. I mean, in 1966, they could have contacted them and gotten that much information and said, yeah, we do have a missing person that is about that height, weight, and red hair. And we could have probably taken care of this, if even just that much information. But no, poor woman. Right. So why are we still believing in psychic mediums? I don't get it. 60 years. 60 years, this poor woman. Well, she's dead now, but I mean, her poor family has no idea where she was, doesn't know. She had been married at one point. And Dorothy Jean. There you go. Here, let me show you the screenshot of this. And if you want to pause the video to read what I just read to you, I kind of summed it up. Might make it a little easier. There you go. Just pause the screen and you can read that on your own. But never do we see psychic cover fixes crime, was able to know who it was, and they were able to ID her because they had a conversation with her. She could say, I was wandering around and fell off the cliff, or I was here with friends and they abandoned me, or I just decided to come to California because it's beautiful and nobody knew where I was, or just help out their family. But for some reason they don't want to help the family. I don't get it. It's almost like they're not psychic.